Have you ever experienced a cold chill run up your spine? Or had that feeling that someone is watching you? Yet when you look all around you, there's no one there. At least no one paying attention to you or your family. Derek Broaddus and his wife Maria lived this life. Their experiences were so life-altering that they suffer from depression, paranoia, and trauma from the short time that they were at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. The thing is, although Derek and Maria did move some personal belongings into the home, they never got the opportunity to reside in the home. They had even spent time remodeling and updating some features of what they considered to be their dream house. Yet, it was all for nothing. Sitting on 1/2 acre of land, the Dutch colonial is the symbolic American dreams for many families. The house was built in 1905 and only had a few owners, of which the Broaddus were the newest. Now, I do need to tell you that if you find the movie on television, the movie is loosely based on the truth. And do not get me wrong, the movie is good, just not as good as the story is. The Broaddus family lived a short distance away from Westfield. However, their desire was to live in a certain neighborhood with a great school system and close to where Maria lived as she was growing up. Derek was a hard worker and managed to climb up the corporate ladder at his job. Now, what is truly confusing though, and will be touched on shortly, is that Derek and Maria already had a mortgage on a property where they currently lived. They still owed quite a lot on the mortgage. There were questions concerning this later on. The Broaddus family purchased the house from the Woods family. The Woods had lived in the home for 23 years. This little fact could be important later on here also. On one afternoon after Derek had been painting in one of the rooms in their new home, he walked to the mailbox to see if any mail had arrived. Of course, there was the random junk mail, a bill or two for the Broaddus family, and a card-seized envelope. Derek opened the apparent card first. But what he saw shocked him. Inside the envelope was a simple piece of paper, and all it had written on it was "Welcome to the neighborhood." Strange, only since it was not signed. At the same time, he thought it was a kind gesture from whoever had sent it. He looked again at the envelope and realized it did not have a complete address, just the new neighbor, which was in thick, chunky letters. The card was signed, "The Watcher." Okay, so maybe one of the neighbors was just playing a prank. Derek finished up the tasks for the day and then headed back to their current residence. They were not moving in until the renovations were completed, at least most of the important ones. The next day, Derek discovered another card in the mail, addressed the same way, in the thick and chunky style of writing. The card inside was more than the day before. This one included, "How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with the force from within?" Derek found that oddly unsettling. However, he continued reading. 657 Boulevard has been a part of my family for generations, as it is now almost 110 years old. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, my father in the 1960s, and now it's my time. So now I ask, do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. That was enough to make the hairs stand up on Derek's neck and make him a little worried. The author of the note also stated that it was too bad that they chose to do the renovations, as this could make the house quite unhappy. It also commented on the children running around. Did you bring young blood to the house just as I had requested? Or did you bring me your kids out of greed? I'll call to them and lure them to me once I know their names. The letter didn't have a return address. Who am I? Asked the writer. Every day, a huge number of cars and trucks drive down 657 Boulevard. Maybe I belong to one. Look at all the windows that you can see from the boulevard. Maybe I belong to one. Outside any of the many windows at 657 Boulevard, you can watch the people who walk by every day. Maybe I belong to one. Welcome, my friends, welcome, the letter went on, suggesting that this was not the last time they would talk. Let the party start, he said. And then he signed his name, The Watcher. Right then, it was time to leave. Derek gathered up the 3 kids, his wife, and they left. Derek would obviously contact the police and request for help of law enforcement. This was no longer just a neighbor welcoming card. This felt and sounded like a threat to his family. Yet as the weeks went by, another letter arrived. Where have you been? 657 Boulevard is missing you. The Broaddus were on high alert for the ensuing weeks. During the renovations, when Maria brought the children to their new house, she would call their names whenever they ventured into a yard corner. Derek also postponed a work trip. The Broaddus family continued to get these odd cryptic texts. The 657 Boulevard can't wait for you to move in. Have you figured out all of its secrets yet? Will the children play down there? Or are they scared to go down there by themselves? If I were them, I would be very scared. It is in a separate part of the house. You would never hear them scream if you were upstairs. Are they going to sleep in the attic? Or are you all going to sleep on the second floor? Whose rooms are the ones that face the street? When you move in, I'll know. It will help me figure out who is in each room. Then I can better plan. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard, let me watch you and follow you as you move around the house. I am the Watcher, and I have been in charge of 657 Boulevard for over 20 years. You got it from the Woods family. They were ready to move on, so when I asked them to, they sold it. I walk by a lot during the day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. You are now part of the family too. Welcome to what your greed has brought you. Greed is what led the last 3 families to live at 657 Boulevard. And it's also what led you to me. Enjoy your moving in. You can be sure I'll be looking. Derek set up cameras outside the doors. an alarm inside and did all that he could at this time to protect his family. Maria's fear grew more and more intense, for now she and the children were not going to the house to help with any renovations. Derek and Maria kept in daily contact with the police, who also had no clues in regards to who was sending the cards. The cameras did not show anyone at the mailbox except the actual post office delivery. When investigators dug into the case, 2 child sex offenders were located within a short distance of each other, not that far away from the house. And a few more strange things happened as well. One of the house painters observed that the neighbors directly behind the Broaddus family kept 2 chairs suspiciously near the Broaddus home. When the painter peeked out one day, he saw a man sitting in one of the chairs with his face towards the Broaddus' home. Maria said that she thought almost anyone could have been the watcher, which made her everyday life feel like a maze full of dangers. Ultimately, there weren't enough solid pieces of evidence to make a case against anyone. For a very short time, things were calm again. Work continued on the home renovations, and small loads of personal belongings were being moved in slowly. But then, the cards began again. Derek and Maria contacted the Woods, the family they had purchased the home from. They were asked if they had received any cards such as this. Mrs. Wood stated that they had received one right when they moved in, but nothing after that. They believed it was just a sick joke. The Broaddus received another card with even more fear entailed within. They decided right there and then that they were not moving in. They would try to sell the house, but realized people were not going to be willing to purchase now that the truth was out. The fear was too much. The next plan was to demolish the house and build a new one, or 2 separate homes. But this was not legally allowed because there are certain measurements that each property must follow. By dividing the property into 2, this would short that amount of space by 3 feet for each. Derek and Maria did what they could. Eventually, they found renters for the home. The renters did not receive any of the weird correspondence. This began to create some suspicion. Now, there was still some that the police had as suspects. One was a son that lived a short block away. He was schizophrenic and seemed to be a good suspect. Although his family denies and refuses to think he had anything to do with this. Soon after, however, the renters moved, which meant it was time to sell the property. The Broaddus family no longer could fathom the idea of living at the home at 657 Boulevard. This home had turned into a nightmare rather than their dream home. By the end of 2014, the investigation was over. The watcher had left no digital traces, no fingerprints, and no way to put someone at the scene of a crime that could have been planned from almost any mailbox in northern New Jersey. But the people in the neighborhood wondered if the Broaddus had sent the majority of the letters to themselves. They did not understand how the couple could have had a mortgage that they still owed, yet they were able to purchase a home for over $1 million. They suspected that Derek and Maria had realized it was too much of a financial strain on them, and they wanted to get out of the huge mortgage that they were facing. This suspicion was further substantiated when the Broaddus attempted to take the Woods to court on the charge of not disclosing the terror involved with the home. Ultimately, the Broaddus family lost almost $500,000 of the purchase price. But it did sell, and it was no longer their fear, their terror, or their depression. Surprise, fear, terror, and depression lingers on. And as of now, Andrew and Allison Carr are the new owners and have reported no strange activities, no strange mail, or anything that would resemble what the Broaddus went through. There is no way to tell if this is indeed the truth, or if the cars are just not answering truthfully. In October of 2018, the Westfield Watcher jumped ahead of the Jersey Devil as the top legend in New Jersey. This means the Westfield Watcher may be more terrifying than the skunk ape, Bigfoot, and the Jersey Devil. What do you think? Did Derek and Maria win out of a high mortgage? If so, why did they buy the house to begin with? Or was it the neighbor's son who had a history of terrorizing?